Good evening, everybody. My name is Osei, and today we are going to be playing on Felsbrunn in Farm Sim 19.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Osei.
I've got my volume up. Okay, we'll turn that off. There we go. Keep forgetting to do that every time I stream. Okay, that's the castle. So, what are we up to today? We have that. Yeah, we have a bank balance of 9,500. And we probably have some contracts we could do. That costs a lot. Yeah, not doing that. Contract fertilizing. That's expensive. Should check on everything. Ooh. I'll get 2,000 for that one. If we lease the items, we'll go with that. And they gave us a thing, a trailer. Really doesn't like being lopsided on these things. There we go. Goody goody. Go that way, and we go back that way. I need to look from the side. There we go. That might actually be okay. Dink. And we're going to 22. Where that is. Oops. Okay, why aren't you doing that? Oh, because the header is too damn close. We can turn that way fairly easily. I think it's the pipe gets in the way. So, where exactly are we going? 22. Oh, straight up there. Okay. Means I don't have to turn right, left, whatever left is. We'll keep that open. It was 22 we're on. No, it's 27. Okay, which way's 27? Completely blew that. 27's the other way. Okay. I'll do right hand turns so I don't catch the Hey, how you doing? Looks like I took a signpost down. So, 27. We are going to harvest this stuff. I've yet to get the hang of these header trailers, since twice now I've put the header too far up on the trailer, so it interferes with driving the harvester. Okay, this is going to be fun. Is this the corner I want? Yeah, we'll pull over on the other side of the road, I think. Ugh. We'll have that around. Ugh, stupid car. Go away. Oh, good grief. Do you have to park that close? There you go. Out of the way. Getting beacons for fields. Oh. Well, when you were doing contracts on 17, no, everything was placed at the field. You didn't have to go to the shop to pick it all up. Okay, we need to unpack that. I'm not entirely sure, but I am guessing that contracts lease equipment is more costly on start from scratch than it is on the other options. I'm not sure about the amount you get for a contract. That's a little bit more difficult to quantify, since they seem to vary. The more you contract for someone, the more they seem to pay you. I could be entirely wrong on all counts there. We'll work what we can. Get to play with lots of different equipments. Not sure how straight I'm making. I'm not making that very straight at all. That's kind of more straight. Filling up fairly slowly, so that's good. Oh, hello truck. Contract on 22. To do corn with the rustle mash. Big one or the small one? I mean, of all the harvesters I've played with so far, the rustle mash, the small one at least, seems to give me the least grief of all of them. I've done a contract in the New Holland CR 1090, is it? Okay, that's the small one. And that one, the header keeps grounding out into, no matter what you're doing, the header grinds out, which really doesn't help. The small New Holland has been glitchy at times, I would say. The Massey Ferguson, that's just a little bit smaller than this John Deere, is a nightmare because unless you've got a header on the front, the front wheel, the drive wheel slip, so it doesn't gain any grip. I can understand having problems with fields because your equipment's too small, and I tend to gauge what I'm doing with the size of the field. So on something like Ravensport, I will do contracts in my small equipment on fields 14 through 29, although I think I own 4 of those fields. But any other field, I'm not taking my equipment out there because frankly it's too small to be able to cope with it, and I'm going to be there for 3 hours. What, with the grinding out or the grounding out of the header? Oh, okay, yes. I've also noticed on Ravensport some of the fields aren't exactly flat. You've got divots in the fields, and you end up being either unable to plant something uniformly or even harvest something uniformly. Yeah, I seriously didn't get that very straight, did I? Oh well. And spinning wheels on a harvester with no header on is not a good thing, because obviously you kind of want to get, especially with the big ones, you want to drive them to the field without the header on, or you're going to take all the street signs out on the way. Huh. I'm not sure. I'm presuming that the 1.2 patch will address a lot of these harvester issues. Although in some ways it's not too bad at the moment, because who can afford big farm equipment anyway when you're starting out? I mean, I don't have... I think Ravensport, which is my private farm, is the farm I have the most equipment or the most money on, and I'm spending most of my money on buying new fields because that makes more money. While I'm limiting myself to the small fields, it's not a big deal. Yeah, the equipment I have is adequate. Yay. So think on Ravensport I'm now running 6 fields, although I converted one of the starter fields to grass and put a sheep enclosure on half of the field. So I placed a sheep enclosure and then planted the rest with grass. The problem is the sheep appear to be bugged and don't need to be fed once you've fed them. Which is a bit awkward. And it looks like the wool pallets are half the size they were in Farm Sim 17. And they sell for substantially less as well. About a quarter of the price, a third of the price. Although I'm not sure the size of the pallet makes a difference. Obviously I haven't done any mathematical calculations to figure out if the same number of sheep produce the same amount of wool as they did in Farm Sim 17. It's just that this is awkward. It's just that when it comes to pallet size, it's half the size. Talking 20. Okay, yeah, 20 is the smaller field, but yeah, there is expansion space there. And then 18 and 19, I presume they're the ones almost directly opposite me. Yeah. I think if you're playing on anything other than New Farmer, investing in fields is a good plan. Because they're what make, you know, they have the potential to make you the money. And I have noticed the workers are slightly more intelligent than they used to be. Yeah, I need to do some math on that count. I kind of started off way back when in Farm Sim 17 and figured out that wheat and barley use the same amount of seed and produce the same amount of crop. So which one of those you want to produce is basically dependent on what the market price is at the moment. So if there's a good price on wheat, you want to plant that. If there's a good price on barley, you want to plant that. But it really didn't matter, for the most part, which one you planted, because effectively they cost the same to make, and they made the same at market. Well, they produced the same amount. But I never got past the wheat and barley stage. I have a feeling that things like potatoes and sugar beets tend to be a more cash productive crop. However, they're also far more manually intensive to harvest. It can get very boring doing those on a solo farm. Especially I find with potatoes, because it takes them, the harvester is so small you're constantly running what is it? Or you're constantly transporting the potatoes somewhere. Whereas at least with beets you've got a good size sort of hopper in the back to store the beets in, so you've got a little bit longer to run the transport off field. It's not bad going. I do tend to mix my crops up so that it's not just one thing. Definitely, soybeans are a very low density crop and pay well. Canola is a low density crop, pays well, but unfortunately uses more seeds than soybean. So yeah, unless you've got a reasonable sized seed capacity, you're usually not going to make as much out of the canola. At least I don't think you are. This is going to be tricky. Oh yeah. Actually, that's not bad, considering I was on a steep downhill to a much flatter piece of ground. I didn't. The harvester didn't ground out. Goodness. We are not going to get the entire field in, but it is going to be very close. At least that's my prediction. Okay, take care, Red 5. Yeah, there seems to be something wrong with all the animals. Chickens have issues laying eggs. Sheep have a problem with their food, in that either they're not eating it or the aliens come around when I'm not playing and fill the troughs up. Because I bought 15 sheep and 2 bales of hay, dropped the bales of hay in with the sheep, and that pretty much maxed them out. And then a little while later, after running the harvest, I had enough money to buy 15 more sheep, so I put 15 more sheep in the pen, checked the food levels, and their food was full. I sort of, okay, well I didn't fill it up, and it's at 21,000 instead of 8,000 from the 2 bales that I bought, so something's not quite right there. I think the water's going down, although it's a little bit hard to tell because I haven't been feeding them for that long. Okay. But I'm thinking I'm going to download the 1.2 patch on Tuesday, whether it's still in beta or not. And what that does mean is I might destroy all of the game saves in my farms, because it's a beta patch and might corrupt things. Oh, we're nearly full. Anyone know how big this harvester is? It's 10,000. Okay. Okay, jump back to the store and get this thing going. I will admit, I haven't done horses yet. I started off with chickens because they're cheap and new. Kind of. And then I went with my private farm, I went with sheep because sheep are easy. See my harvester. Well, just took out the road sign. I'm assuming it's all going to fit in that. Those are usually about 21,000 litres. I think from prices, it looks like grass sells for better than hay. I think that one's hay. And that one's grass. Oh, they're selling for about the same right now. Are we done? Yes, we're done. You don't get much in the way of hay or grass off the verges. That doesn't stop you going and harvesting it for some money. Oh, it's way up there. Okay. This is too wide for my header. Just a little. Oh, that's kind of a lot. So what difficulty level are you playing? You've just been playing an awful lot to generate that amount of crop. Oh. Silly boy. Okay. Although with patch 1.92 no, sorry, 1.2, they're going to allow us to select whether we're new farmer, farm manager, or start from scratch, and whether we have easy, medium, or hard economy. So you'll be able to play new farmer with all the buildings and some equipment. You don't have much money, but you could then play it on hard economy, which means the prices are horrible. Okay, we are going somewhere over there. Oh wow, we're going all the way over there. Follow this road all the way to the end and then turn right. That sounds like a plan. There's the car. Nobody coming that way. Let's go. I mean, obviously this one is difficult because of the hard mode. You are bringing in approximately quarter of the amount of money you would on easy mode for selling crops and what have you. Oops. The other good news is on patch 1.2 they'll be tripling the value of cotton, so it's actually worthwhile renting equipment to harvest cotton, because at the moment cotton really doesn't pay you anything, because all the equipment for it is specialist. It's not like you can make a lot of money from it. Ugh. When it came to stupid traffic, the one I liked was the Valley, the Old Farm, where on one part of the map the can I go in here? I guess I go in here. The cars actually flew. The road went down a hill, but the cars stayed level. I guess we can go that way. And then we turn right here. And somewhere around here is an unload point. Probably that bit right there. Okay, we have 9,500 money. Oh, that was soybeans. Oh, 462. Awesome. Thank you so much. 1,900 for the contract, so we got 11,000 now. Okay, who wants other stuff done? Is that the field we just did? Or a different field? That's still worth 3,800 to do that one. There's a contract for 7,000. What's that? Huh. So minus 2, 5,000. 8,000. Minus 2. That's 6,000. And field 12. Out of the store around the top. I could do that, I guess. Okay. Oh. I did that wrong. Cancel, yes. Yeah, complete. Needed to lease the equipment because there's no way I can do that. I can't. I don't even have a harvester, so I couldn't do that with anything I have. Okay, lease items. Where are we going? 16. $16 is that one? Yes. Out of there, follow the road round, and it's the field on the left. Okay. Of course, if we get follow me, doing this will be a lot easier. They give us everything we need for the contract. Oh, yeah, let's just put a scratch on the side of that tractor. That's a big trailer. Okay, so that's the big rustle mash. That's me driving into a tree. Oops. And knocking over street signs, of course, because that's what we do. It's nice enough as a harvester. I didn't see any wheel slip out back there. Awkward. And here we are. And this is where we want to be. These hills kind of worry me, so I'm not sure what it would take to roll the harvester down the hill, which I have done already on my private farm. Oh, and unfold. No. Oh, unfold. There we go. Have you tried the in-game mod hub? I know some of the mod sites have issues and you kind of had to click 20 different times on, or at least it seems like it, in order to get the mod to download. I can't go too late today. I plan on finishing this field off before I go. Oh, okay. Yes. No, some of the mod sites obviously aren't official mod sites, and they usually have ads on them to download crappy software that you really don't want, as well as a download button to download the mod that you do want. And if you click the wrong thing, it can install a load of crap on your PC. So you kind of have to be careful which button you press, and I find them annoying. Plus, they're not particularly honest when it comes to whose mods they'll load on there. So currently there's a bunch of very bad ported maps from FS17, which the person who ported it didn't get permission from the original map designer, and the guy who's running the mod site makes money from you going there and downloading that map, which tends to annoy the person who designed the map originally for the previous version or whatever of the game, because they put in hard work and somebody else is financially benefiting from a very bad port of their map. Now, I remember when I started FarmSim 17, I was downloading everything, and you kind of get to the point where, okay, I've got 500 mods loaded on the system, and I use maybe 20 of them. And even now, if I, or at least even recently when I started new maps on FarmSim 17, I'd select the map I wanted to play on, but then I would deselect all of the mods and select just the ones I felt like playing with this time, or that fit with the theme of the map I was going for. And it still takes me about 20 minutes to go through that list and figure out which ones do I want and which ones don't I want. So for Farm Sim 19 I've decided to be a little bit more selective in my choice of mods. I haven't bothered downloading the big bud tractors at the moment because for the most part I prefer playing in small European and British maps, and yeah, Big Bud's unrealistic for those maps, but it's also impractical for most of them as well. Now the Kenworth Semi looks very nice. But again, for me, you don't see a Kenworth Semi in Europe. I do tend to download a bunch of MAN trucks because they are a bit more common. Or the Volvo Actros, I believe it is. I downloaded a bunch of Russian tractors and trucks for Farm Sim 17 and then played Sosnovka for about a week and decided I wasn't really enjoying the map. And I have all this Russian equipment that I never took another look at after that point. Yeah, I mean, what was it? I think it was the last map Dagowin played for Farm Sim 17. He had a very nice 3-axle MAN truck. And I tend to find the in-game truck is a little bit flighty, shall we say, because there's only 2 axles, so it doesn't grip the road too well. And if you're driving a little bit crazy, the trailer can spin you out completely if it's loaded. And someone will usually come along with either the Tatra or MAN tippers and trailers, which are kind of handy, so they go a bit faster than a tractor and they fit well with European roads. How are we doing? 4,800. We're looking a little under halfway. Yes. Yeah, I've kind of noticed that a lot of the time I'm playing on Ravenport and they give me the Tatra Phoenix, which it's a long wheelbase, so it's slightly more well behaved than the MAN truck. And then I come to Europe on Felsbrunn and I'm getting the US style trucks, and it's sort of, yeah, can I get the American trucks on the American map and the European trucks on the European map? Because driving the wrong truck in the wrong place just feels all wrong. This is a nice enough harvester though. Head's a bit small. Oh, you can see in the back too. Oh yes, I think there were a couple on Farm Sim 17 that were ex-Russian military equipment, which isn't so far-fetched because, you know, when the military, or at least when the Soviet Union broke up, the military couldn't afford to run a lot of their equipment. So anybody who had heavy moving to do was quite happy to take it off their hands for a small price. Come on. There we go. Must admit, I hadn't looked at the mods for a couple of days now. It'll be interesting to see what's out there. Okay. That is a big trailer. Probably has at least one steering axle. Oh, two, front one and back one steer. Cool. Okay. Oh, the ones with the doors. Yes, I'm considering that. Although the sheds with the doors are a lot more expensive, or a fair bit more expensive, shall we say? But they do look better. And when you buy the bigger ones, they're wider rather than deeper. As per usual, the issue is having the money to buy them and terraform the land underneath them. And here we are. So once again, it's entirely possible that this entire field could fit in this trailer. Ooh, bad clipping there, and that's a long auger. There we go. I honestly don't know how many litres that tipper is. I guess I could put that back on a helper and we could find out. Tippers. Something like that. Certainly nothing bigger. Okay. So that one is 45,000. Respectable. Where the heck have you got your hazard? Your blinky bits on. Beacons on. We don't need beacons on when we're harvesting fields. Oh, we did miss a stalk of sunflowers. I also didn't notice what model case that was. I haven't looked at the big ones. The can't do that. Okay. Yeah, at the moment most of my farms I'm running the little Strautmann single axle trailer, which can be modded into a bale trailer, and can either have 4,800 or 8,000 or 12,000 litre capacity. I usually run it with an 8,000 litre capacity, or as a bale trailer, and that small trailer is quite handy for things like the transport contracts. Oh yeah, that's an option. I've heard folks having issues with the seed runner auger wagon, but I think the issue with that is some of the seeders are bugged, and when you get close to a seed source it opens the bins on the fertilizer hoppers, and if you get close to a solid fertilizer source it opens the lids to the seed bins. And so that's not a problem if you're pulling up to a seed bag or a fertilizer bag, because you just press the load button and it will load into the correct or it'll just load into the planter. The problem is if you're trying to use an auger to fill them up, if the seed container opens because you have fertilizer next to it, it won't load because it wants to put seed in the seed container and fertilizer in the fertilizer container, and the wrong doors are opening. Because I did notice Arthur was having a problem with that seed tender on Micah's farm, and it sounds like that was the issue. It's not an issue with the seed tender the seed runner auger, it's a problem with the animations on the seeders. Now, back on FS17, I did use augers for seed and fertilizer, because you could run about 20,000 litres in an auger, or at least in the augers I used you could. They were 20,000 litre augers, and so you could run down the store, buy 20 pallets and go and follow your seeders around or planters around and refill them on site. And some of the planters have ridiculously small seed capacity. Oh dear. A bit more. There we go. That should work. And then the other thing I like is to have a tanker which I can put the liquid fertilizer in, because it just helps running. If you've got 10 fields to plant, it saves running backwards and forwards to wherever you've got your seed supply. If you've got a supply of seed that just follows the planting convoy around. I was actually surprised, the number of videos and streams I've watched of Farm Sim 17, how many people don't use an auger wagon to transport seed and fertilizer around. And it's far more convenient than having a flatbed trailer with a bunch of seed bags on the back of it. You don't have to stack an auger wagon with seed. Oh, on 19, yes. I haven't got anything that big, but my planters tend to be planters that fertilise. Seeders, not so much, because a lot of the small seeders don't carry fertiliser. Go away, birds. Where are we at? Okay, this is about halfway, but we've still got 2 strips on our left. But this field is then probably about 16,000 litres. We've only unloaded this once, so yeah, 16 to 18,000 litres. Does someone remember how big the trailer was? Oh. Yeah, on this map I'm running the Fent 500C, which you can run at 150 horsepower. Not sure how well it would cope with some of these field. Ugh. Yep, that was right. Let's lift the front. So we're having a little bit of a problem with this hill. However, that's primarily because I'm leaving the header down when I really should lift it. .45. Okay, so this field should fit quite adequately in that trailer. So I'm going to guess we get about 36 out of the field. My private farm, I'm using predominantly 4-meter equipment. I thought I was running a 200 horsepower Valtra N, and it turns out I'm actually only running a 145, 165, 165. So it's not quite set up for the bigger equipment. I'm going to have to wait till I can afford a larger tractor. But I generally find 6-meter equipment's quite a nice compromise on tractor expense and speed at which you can lay seed down in a field. Oh yeah. Yeah, back on Farm Sim 17 I played Law Folds for the longest time, and you start off with a very generous allotment of equipment. And because I'm playing it as a solo farm, I don't need a generous allotment of equipment, so I pretty much sold everything. I kept a small Fent, a small Massey Ferguson, and the small JCB, and literally sold everything else. They gave me a tractor, a beet harvester, a tractor-hauled beet harvester. I sold the main harvester, and I bought myself a 380 horsepower tractor and a lot of 6-meter equipment. And after the first year of selling crops, I was able to afford 12-meter equipment, which the 380 horse could easily haul around the farm. But yeah, sometimes having a huge tractor, or comparatively huge tractor as a starting tractor, is kind of useful. Must admit, I haven't taken a lot of looks at the medium and large tractors, because all my farms are still in the fledgling stage. So it's not like you have money to throw at large equipment. You could sell the 21,000 litre trailers and buy yourself a 45,000 litre trailer. Just need a bigger tractor to haul it in. Yeah, I think my Estancia Lapacho farm is in the red, because you start off with a loan. But in start from scratch mode, you start off with less money but no loan. So if you buy some land, you can take out a loan on that land, and on the new farmer levels, you just get the house, equipment, and 100,000. I think on one of my farms I'm running the New Holland, on the other one I'm running the small case that was modded in day after release. Which is 7240. Tractors. Is this one? Yeah, 72, 10, 40. That's 250. Oh, that's a good power. 281's the maximum. This has some awesome wheels though. You can do that. I have one of those on Arthur's multiplayer farm, and he was rather impressed with the wheel setup for that. But yeah, that's a nice little tractor, and surprisingly powerful. And on Ravenport you get 2 of those as starting tractors, and then you also get the Fiat. And the problem with all of those is you can't run front loaders on any of them. You can't run anything on the front. They don't have a front attach. But yeah, those cases are quite nice. And you can put a heavier weight on the front. I mean, the one I've got on Ravensport, I'm running the twin Narrows on it. And it's doing most of the fertilizing work and weed killing work. And you can put a good size weight on the front of it as well. But because I find invariably I need something with a front loader, I'm going to run a Valtra or I think the Fent 500 Favorite is a very cheap flexible option as a starting tractor. Oh, well, this actually takes more than 10,000 litres. Wow. I don't know if I'm going to get the end of this row though. Maybe I will. Okay. Okay, that's the 7240 Pro. So yeah, 200 odd horsepower. It does have the front. Does it have the front 3-point? Yes. So yeah, the only thing it doesn't do is a front loader attacher. Well, now the 1455, you can put a front loader on it. Where is it? That one. Pretty sure that will take a front loader, but you can't put anything. There's no 3-point hitch at the front. Doesn't have the double twins. But that's kind of a handy tractor. You only got 145 horsepower. Also got the 8340 that also comes with a front loader. Like I said, I haven't really looked at what's in the medium. Oh, obviously T6. Now the Maxim, you can have a front loader on. Let's see, what's the deal? T 7700, 700 Vario, Puma. Does that one have a front loader? Yep. GCB and a 6R. So the other one was a 6M. Yeah. Okay, let's get back in the harvester. Much easier to drive straight down these rows. Corn and the wheat, I end up going all over the place. Seven. Yeah, 7. The thing is when you find a tractor that has a large horsepower range, you don't really need to go shopping for multiple other tractors to do different jobs. Oh, the Valtra T. I am running a Valtra T on Farm Sim 17, my Lawfolds map. It's got rear wheel weights, front loader, and I'm using it to feed the cows. because you can put, it's not completely ridiculous to put the FZ60 front loader arms on it. It has a higher reach than some of the smaller tractors, which you only really could put on an FZ30. And I've got quite a tall mixer wagon for the TMR, so the Valtra T comes in quite useful. It's also able to pick trees up over the sides of a logging trailer, which the smaller Massey 5500 I had trying to do the job wasn't particularly good at. Because it didn't quite have the reach that you need. But I like the Valtras. There are, as I was, when I'm looking at flexible tractors, they've got a good horsepower range. They've all got a front 3-point hitch. I'm not sure the S can take a front loader, but the smaller two can. And you can paint them any colour you want, which ain't usually an option for anything else. The skid steers have some useful logging equipment, but unless you can find a ramp so they can drive up and drop a log over the side of a logging trailer, they're not very practical. Now, in a lot of my big logging operations, I'm using a chainsaw, a tractor with a front loader and log forks, and a logging trailer. For Farm Sim 17, I then had the measure mod, so I could measure out approximately 6 meter lengths of wood. And I was using the BioBelts log grabber because it has 4 prongs as opposed to the 3 that the in-game Stoll has. And that has slightly more stability on the logs when you pick them up. I did get very good at just grabbing logs and dropping them back of the trailer. Skid steers I really just don't have much time for. Yeah, they're small and manoeuvrable, but they don't have much in the way of reach. And when on Black Sheep's the Valley, the old farm, they give you a skid steer up in the hayloft. That kind of makes sense because that hayloft is probably, is kind of tight, and if you start loading bales up there, it's going to get tighter. And so a skid steer is a very functional piece of equipment for that sort of job. But a lot of the time I can't justify the cost of one for the selected tasks it can do when I can use a tractor with a front loader for the same job. Now, I used Stroutman with the sides on. So I just cut the logs up and then throw them over the side. Because obviously the bale trailer, you have to be careful or everything will fall off the back. That's usually a bad thing. Ow. Okay, well, I think we're about a third of the way now, probably more. Yes. Yeah, I give you that. What actually options do we have there? Okay, you got the skid steers. Let's go to equipment. So the front loader, this thing completely sucks. If it had two prongs there, it would provide a better balance for the wood. The wheel loaders, which are huge great things, this is great for picking up 3 logs. It's complete garbage for trying to pick up something smaller because you can't close those jaws tight enough to keep hold of the log, at least keep a log stable. Which then gets you to telehandlers. Oh, good grief! And that's got a 3-prong fork, so that doesn't look particularly great either. And the skid steer, which has the sump grinder, which has a whole sort of shovel grab type thing. So this is far more stable. You don't need that many prongs on top, but you've got them, and so that works. Yeah, the CSV set was quite handy, but that came out late in the game, by which point I was already using the Buyer Belt's 4-prong fork, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And it's that is a significant improvement over the Stoll. Oops. Yeah. I think this job is only going to pay us about 5,000. Oh, plus the bonus, of course. I'm guessing some of those won't be long. Obviously the CSZ pack is going to take a while because there's a lot in it. I think the packs will take longer. If someone's just producing ad hoc stuff that, I do logging, so I'm going to create a log fork that's better than the one in game type of person, then those we probably start seeing them before January, presuming Giants start accepting submissions from the modders, which I'm guessing they have, because we do have a couple of third-party mods already in the hub. Now, yeah, I was a big user of the IT Runner stuff early on in 17, but I did eventually progress to the AR frame pack, which came in from the GTX mod team. Unfortunately, their programmer quit, so I'm guessing we're not likely to see that ported off to 19. But it's kind of like an IT Runner pack, but rather than having a hook lift, the modules on the back stand on legs, and you would reverse a truck underneath it and then fold the legs up. I work for a company that did local retail deliveries, and they used those styles of trucks because it allowed them to have a truck out on deliveries and still have a box back at the warehouse which they could then load up. When the truck turned back up at the warehouse, he'd reverse back up to the loading bay, drop the legs on the pod on the back of his truck, pull the truck forward, reverse on a full pod, and fold the legs up and drive off and do another round of deliveries. So it meant that the warehouse wasn't sat waiting for a truck to turn up, and the truckers weren't sat around waiting for the warehouse to load their trucks up. So it was quite an efficient operation. Well, and that's because there have been a lot of issues with the release of this game. Placeable placement is not ideal at all. You get some horrible ground deformation around placeables. The harvesters, a lot of the harvesters have issues, and they need to fix the issues. And so, when that happens, modders can create new mods, but they then have to be tested by Giants before they're released on the mod hub. And if the Giants QA team are testing bug fixes, they're not available to test mods. I mean, I work in IT, and if there's something critical that needs to be fixed, it's basically okay. Whatever programmers are needed are pulled into that team to fix it, and then pretty much the entirety of the QA team is working on that fix, testing that fix and making sure it works, and everything else falls by the wayside until that fix is done. And then once the fix is done, everything returns to normal, and they're testing 4 or 5 different things at the same time. But when you have a priority fix, that's the goal of everybody in the IT department. Now, with the fixes that we've been getting, they did the 1.1 fix and they've got the 1.2 fix in the pipeline now, and they've released them early to the PC people because they can. Now, I could have downloaded the 1.2 beta fix and be testing it, but there's the chances that it's not quite right and it might corrupt your game, and I don't have the time to put in to play Farm Sim as a professional tester. I have my own job to do, and so it's not something I've done it in the past where, hey, we've got a beta release of a patch, and can we get a bunch of people testing it? Sure, I'll do that because it's what I do as a professional job. But when I don't have the time to do it, then it's not really fair for me to say, I'll take that, and then not provide any feedback on it. But they're releasing it to the PC because it's easy to do. It's not easy to do it to a console. And once they've finalized the 1.2 patch, they're still gonna have to get Microsoft and who's the other one? Nintendo, is it? To certify the patch to be downloaded from their support sites. We can get patches direct from Giants or from Giants through Steam, but with the console market, you have to get it from the Microsoft store or whatever store of the console that you work on, and they're very picky about what they allow in their store. So that's, it's generally why PC people get them earlier. PC people sometimes get the mods early as well because they come to us in the beta section of Sony. Yeah, that's it. They come to us in the beta section of the mod hub, which is, it's kind of available, but it's not official, and there might be problems with it, or there might be problems with mod interactions where one mod interferes with another mod. And but we're letting you have them now, so that rather than having a team of 20 testers in the company testing it, they've got a couple of hundred players testing the mod as well. And so the tests happen faster, it gets approved faster, and then the console market gets a completed, tested mod, which shouldn't have any problems. But the advantage with consoles is they're a single configuration unit. If it works on... Ooh, hey, where are we going? Come back. If the mod works on your PlayStation, it works on everybody's PlayStation. With a PC, that's not so much true. You get 10 PC people into a room and they probably have different processors, different motherboards, different graphics cards, and each one could exhibit a problem with a specific mod or program. Let's pull forward and try and get that inside the bucket, or not. Okay, that looks better. I thought the graphics were clipping at the top of the tipper. Let's go. See if we can knock that corn over, or is it sunflowers? Yep, we got it that time. Okay, that's three full loads, or thereabouts. So I'm fairly certain we are not going to fill this harvester up again. Generally, yes. I mean, you need some skills in graphical design, I think. I've thought about it, but frankly, I can't be bothered to learn all the extra stuff you need to be able to do. And you look at the likes of Frontier Designs, Oxygen David and Bullet Bill, and they're producing all of the assets, buildings, farm buildings, fences, roads, junctions, and then they're assembling them on the maps so that they look right. Street signs. Yes, now, was that a Black Sheep pack? I know the Black Sheep are working on the Valley the Old, not the Valley the Old Farm, Old Stream Farm at the moment. Which is definitely looking very interesting. Oxygen David is working on a small British map, which he wants to get out. I'm guessing possibly around the new year, maybe a little bit later. Now, while a contract gives you a 5% leeway on harvesting, so you only actually have to harvest 95% of the field and sell 95% of the crop on it, I always harvest the entire field, which is why I'm doing this silly little strip, because you get paid for everything over 95%. And that can be a big deal, especially if you're doing potatoes or beets. I did a potato field and a beet field on what's the map? Ravenport, and I got a 10,000 bonus in crop sales once I'd finished the contract. Not sure if that's one more row or two. Knowing my luck, it's two. place. Okay. Absolutely just a little bit too wide for the harvester head. Ah well. When it comes to cars, I know the science, I don't know the mechanics. So I pay other people lots of money to keep my cars running. This is good. What are we on? 3,600. No. When I was a youngster, my interest was more into vehicles with external combustion engines rather than internal combustion engines. If someone's hacking, that's not a virus. That's someone being malicious to the code. I drove a diesel car back in England because it made financial sense. Purchase price of the car in England was you pay about £2,000 more for a car with a diesel engine than you do with a gas engine, but then you save hand over fist on maintenance costs and fuel costs, because diesel's about 30% cheaper than gas, or at least it was when I was driving over there. And a diesel car gets about 30% better mileage than a gas-driven car. I came to America, and diesel is about 30% more expensive than gas. So while you have to fill up less often, you're still paying out as much to cover the miles. So it really doesn't make financial sense to buy a diesel. I mean, eventually the maintenance will be cheaper, but it's going to be a while. Okay, we are full. We can fold that up. Fold that up. Fold that up. Can we? We can't fold up the harvester. Fair enough. Let's just turn the engine off. Okay, tractor, where are we going? Oh, train station. That's not far. That's cool. If we're quick, we'll get across the tracks before the train comes back. Okay, well, as soon as I drop this off, I'll be calling it a night anyway, so thanks for watching and take care, K-Tigress. Yeah, I think the issue with the small diesel engines in Europe is the diesel engines tend to be turbo powered, so that you get at least a semi-reasonable acceleration out of them, whereas the gas-powered cars can be non-turbo powered. So when you compare a gas car with a diesel, you're actually comparing the gas car with the turbo diesel, and so the where am I going? Oh. I think where I want to go is at the top of that hill. Okay. So the diesel is going to use a little bit more fuel because the turbo is giving it the more power and higher consumption while the turbo's running. Okay. Can I get in? I can get in here. There we go. This way and round the back. Okay, lots of interesting places to visit. Here we are. Oops. Oh, nice. Oh, there's a road down there that joins up to... Oh, that's why I didn't see it, because it was behind me as I was driving past. I guess you could just about turn around there. I didn't notice how much money I made for that. But 5,200 for the contract. So not too bad. We are up about double what we started with on the day. So yes, I usually get those trailers. You can put 4, 8 or 12,000 litre sides on. And that's my tractor, 150 horsepower. Very functional tractor for what I need it for. And I bought this grass field. Oh, hello grass. Oh no, that's the bit I didn't cut. That's the bit that's growing. But yeah, I bought the grass field, so all I needed was the tractor, the mower and the loading wagon. Oh yeah, that I can imagine. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night here. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow evening with World of Warships. In the meantime, have a good remainder of your weekend. I'm going to bed.